Let's take a look at Amelia's floor routine, and then we'll talk about some deductions she might have received. It's time to rewind and break it down. Okay, so let's take a look at Amelia's floor routine. She comes in for a round off here, and you can see that her legs are apart, so that's a deduction there. As she goes into her back handspring, you can see how bent her legs are. Her arms also bend as she comes around, and her legs are also apart. As she jumps up for her rebound, her legs were apart. As she does her candle, you can see that her legs are apart and her body is not in a tight position, so those are deductions. As she does her split leap, you can see that her back foot is not pointed. That's a small deduction. And in her pike jump, her legs are separated, and she might have lost a deduction for what's called insufficient exactness of pike. So her body position is just not quite right. Close, but not exactly where it should be for the pike. So Amelia does a nice job with her dance, but you can see there are points throughout her routine where her toes are just not pointed the way they should be. So there are deductions for footwork that will happen as an overall routine deduction. Now she does her front handspring step out. Her arms were bent there, and you can see that her legs are bent as well. So those are deductions that she might have gotten. And as she goes to do her round off, her legs were bent. So there's a deduction there. She does her rebound, and she takes 2 extra steps backwards. And her body position was not tight as she did the rebound. Amelia does a full turn, and she most likely got a deduction, which is called lack of precision on a dance skill. So if your turn is just not quite precise as it should be, you would get that deduction. And her body was slumped forward throughout the turn, which is a deduction for body posture as well. And she finishes up. So overall, there are some deductions that judges can take. One of them is artistry, another is dynamics, and then we talked earlier about the footwork. But for artistry and dynamics, we're looking for gymnasts to present themselves, chest lifted, to have, flow through their routine, and those are all deductions that can add up and are taken off the overall routine score. Amelia received an 8.025 for this routine. And when you look at the deductions, you can see that most of them mainly came from her major elements, having poor form. So legs bent, legs separated, arms bent, those kinds of things, when you have a bunch of skills in your routine, can really add up if your form is off on all of them. So if Amelia can just work on, keeping her arms straight, her legs together, toes pointed, legs straight, then she will certainly see improvement in her score. So nice work, Amelia, and keep working on your form, and make sure you stick those rebounds.